Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff. Welcome back to Small Business Saturday. This is episode 3, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about naming your small craft business. Finding a name for your craft business can be one of the hardest things, and without a good name for your business, it's really hard to make progress in other areas. So in this video, I'm going to give you my best brainstorming tips and tricks. I'm going to give you a few websites you can use, as well as giving you sort of the resources you need to make sure that your name isn't already taken. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll feel confident in being able to come up with a name for your business that is unique and memorable and totally you. A lot of other people might start with brainstorming, but I think there's one thing that you can do before you start brainstorming that will help you brainstorm even better. And that is to define your brand's vibe. Your business's vibe is sort of the feeling that you want it to have. So maybe it's cute and quirky, maybe it's modern and sleek, maybe it's country and shabby chic. And as you're going through the brainstorming exercises I'm going to talk about, I want you to kind of keep that vibe in the back of your mind because it will help you rule out a lot of choices that aren't right for your business. For example, if you are making sort of high-end luxe candles, you're not going to name your business Carol's Cutesy Candle Creations, right? It doesn't have the same vibe as what you're making. And if you're having trouble kind of defining your vibe, I want you to think about who you are as a person, why you started your business, your niche, the products that you make, and your audience. Over time, as you think about these things a little bit more, you'll be able to say, yes, that's exactly what I'm going for, and nope, that's not me. So with that vibe in mind, let's talk about some brainstorming techniques. Brainstorming may take you a while, so don't think that this is a one-time session sort of deal. You may need to sit down and work through this several times. The first thing we're going to do is simple word association. So you're going to take your products and you're going to write down words that sort of are associated with your products. So if you're that candle company like I was talking about, you may want words like warm, flicker, flame, cozy. These are all words that are sort of about candles without being the word candle itself. One resource that I really like is the Power Thesaurus. So you have your regular thesaurus.com, you can go to Merriam-Webster, but if you go to powerthesaurus.com, there are so many more words that come up when you enter a word to look up. I swear this website has so many more words than a regular thesaurus, and you'll be able to add to that list. You may also want to start thinking about adjectives, so basically words that describe the nouns that you are working with your products. You may also find a rhyming dictionary helpful. Alliteration can also be fun, but be careful because I do think it is overdone, and sometimes we can kind of get locked into that thought, and it's hard to break out. My business is called Chapter and Craft, so I have the CH sound from chapter, the CR sound from craft, and even though they both start with C, it isn't as alliterative as it would be if they both had that hard C sound. Just make sure you are thinking about ideas that are beyond those matchy-matchy words. Another thing I like to do is Google the phrase words related to blank, so words related to candles, and that might give you even more options. And then while it can be controversial, and I understand why, you may also want to consider using AI. Something like ChatGPT might give you ideas that you just won't come up with when using the other resources that I've mentioned here. You can enter a prompt like, I run a luxury candle business and I'm looking for business names that appeal to my high-end customers. Most likely you are going to get a lot of terrible names as well as names that might already exist out there, but sometimes there is some gold in all of that. And this exercise is basically helping you find even more words to add to the list. And then you just need to sort of start pairing these together and seeing where you land. So for me, I started with the word chapter, which is the book portion of my business, and the word craft, which is the crafting portion of my business. I did add studio as well because I wanted to evoke that handmade feel. You can also add those describing words, so maybe your candle company is called The Cozy Glow, or you could also use a portmanteau, which is basically shoving two words together into a single word. So for example, I almost named my business Chapter Craft. Another thing you can do is use sort of metaphors, so basically allowing your customers to feel what your business represents. So instead of the very obvious Carol's Cutesy Candle Creations, maybe we have a business called The Golden Ember. Names like these are more of a suggestion of the idea of the products and not exactly on the nose about the products themselves. And again, as you're doing this, always make sure that it matches whatever vibe you're going for in your business. The next step is, once you have a few ideas, start testing them out. You want to say them out loud as much as you can. You want it to roll off the tongue, you want it to be simple to say, and you want it to be simple to remember. I think Chapter and Craft is an easy business name, but to be honest, I have a very hard time typing it. I constantly type Crafter and Chaft I don't know what it is about those letters that I swap, but one, it's very funny, but two, I did not expect this to be a problem. So just as a little side tip, see if it also rolls off your fingers and onto a keyboard. You can also share your potential business names with family members, with your friends. If you already have a social media following, you can share it with your social media following. They could vote on a name that they like. They could offer suggestions. Get some feedback from some other people before you make your final decision. And then also think about the long term. So you may think, I want to name my business Kathy's Cool Tumblers, but what if in the future you want to make more than tumblers, or tumblers aren't as trendy? You want something that can really go the distance as far as a business name goes. And then something I don't hear many people talking about is it needs to look good in a logo. So I don't need you to go out and create the perfect logo for the names that you're coming up with, but I do recommend going to Canva and playing around with their templates. You can see how the letters play together, how the words play together, how you could add images. Basically, you want to make sure that you can find a logo that will work with your business name, because sometimes there are some really long business names that just don't look good on a logo, and especially on a mobile device. So you want something that's sort of short and sweet and will look really good no matter what size it is. A lot of times this exercise will help you also narrow down your focus. So if you're like trying to decide between a couple words, try entering them into a logo and just seeing how they look visually. There may be words that you just like the look of better than others. So once you have a name you like, we have to figure out if it's already out there. Because there are so many other companies out there, it may take you some trial and error to find a name that isn't already taken, that matches your vibe, and that looks good in a logo. As we get into this section, I do want to give you the caveat that I am not a lawyer and I do not play one on TV. So if you have questions, you should go to a lawyer, your local small business administration. All of these people are going to be able to lead you in the right direction in a legal way. The first place to start would be to check the domain availability. So you can go to namecheap.com. This is the site I use. There are many places where you can buy domains, but I like Namecheap. You can go and basically put in the domain of your business. So if we're going with the Golden Ember, we're going to do thegoldenember.com, and we're going to see what comes up. Are there already businesses that are using this and it's not available, or is it something that you could buy? I recommend trying to get the .com or the .co address. However, if the Golden Ember is already a restaurant in Baltimore or somewhere, you can totally grab the .craft or the .studio URL and use it for your craft business. Just because it exists in a totally different context doesn't mean that you can't use it for your own business. As long as you're not a direct competitor and you're in two totally different spaces, there's a good chance that you won't get into any trademark trouble. Next up, because we are specifically talking crafts, you probably want to look up the Etsy availability. So many people are on Etsy that don't have a presence anywhere outside of that except maybe on social media. So if you go on Etsy and you search for the name that you like, see if there's already a shop with that name. If somebody already has a shop open under that name, especially if it's active and has current sales, you definitely want to rework your idea. And of course, you probably want to grab the social media handles, even if you don't plan on using them right away. Honestly, this can be one of the biggest hurdles because there are just so many people on social media. There is a site called Name Checker, which allows you to check a whole bunch of different sites at the same time. I will go ahead and link that down in the description. I found it kind of glitchy, but overall it works really well, and it doesn't require you to go to every single site and check the availability of the social media handle. So let's go back to our candle company example. Maybe at Golden Ember is already taken from that restaurant. You could do something like Shop Golden Ember instead. I would also recommend doing a trademark search. So you can go to the United States Patent and Trademark Office website and basically plug in the business name that you're looking for and see if anybody else has it trademarked. Again, you may still be able to use a name that somebody else is using if you are in a completely different field. Trademarks are only given for certain products and services. Trademarking your business isn't necessary and it is expensive, but it does give you some legal protections. I wouldn't recommend going out and doing it right away, but as your business grows, it might be something you want to look into. If you decide to go the trademark route, I highly recommend working with a lawyer. They will have the experience to really hunt down the US Patent and Trademark Office to figure out that you aren't violating anybody else's trademark. And then finally, you may want to check with your locality to make sure there's not a local business or even a state business with the same name. If there's somebody across the country with the same name but doing something totally different, it's probably not as bad with somebody in the same town. So you do want to maybe check around with that small business administration, your local Secretary of State. These organizations can help you find out if you're violating anybody else's trademark. All right, I hope you found this video about naming your craft business helpful. Take your time. Do not rush this process. Finding a unique name that is memorable can be the difference between making or breaking your business. Feel free to ask questions or share name ideas down in the comments and I'll get back to you. For more Small Business Saturday content, follow my channel. I'll see you next time.